You are listening to the Wild Man Podcast.
Take it away, Sub.
All right, without further ado, man, we have like one of the busiest man in New Jersey. And not only that, he's like one of the kindest guys who like talks to everybody. And, a man with such your status, I see you breaking bread, with fans and always in the parking lot and just kind of being who you are, which is essentially, that's a great personality. It's a great way of being. What's up, Jay? How's it going, man?
How you
I know
doing,
you're super busy.
I appreciate that. I find it's real easy to just be yourself. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what I'm doing, man. I'm an Italian dude from New Jersey. Like that's who I am. I'm not trying to be anything I'm not. That's who I am. And I appreciate what you said, though. I do try to spend as much time as I can with everybody. And although the schedule is busy, it's like I always remember being a kid and not really fucking with people that were like didn't have the time of day,
Right.
for like a young fan. So like if you're a fan of my music, even if you're not, I'm good, bro. I spend the time with you. I don't give a fuck.
For sure.
Somebody.
We were just on another podcast, and I remember I when I was younger, I wasn't that outgoing, and I wanted to talk to the guys that like I looked up to,
Right.
and the bands that I admire and worship, because I'm, before anything, I'm a fan, and
Right.
until I got older, I was able just to, when you build your own personality and you find yourself, that's when you can actually just be like, hey, man, more, props and this and that, man. But Jay, man, this is gonna be a fun one, man. We might need a part two because all right, so
We can do a part
you're from Elizabeth, right?
I am. I'm from Elizabeth.
Santilos or what?
Yeah, 100%. All day, every day. It's been unfortunate because Al actually just had a stroke.
Okay.
So he's from what I see, he's battling back, but I mean, dude's a legend. You know what I mean? It's just that's the spot. That's the spot for sure.
Yeah, place never change, that's an iconic place in Elizabeth. So I grew up in Hudson County. I bounced around from Hudson to Essex, so like from Kearney to Newark to Belleville, and then I even lived in Patterson. So you and I grew up kind of close. My father worked on Bond Street. But remember Lookers, the diner?
Yes.
Yeah, so he was like on one of those areas, and it was a really, Elizabeth was it wasn't, I guess parts, but this part was not the nicest neighborhood. You know what I mean, so to speak. So
I was down there yesterday with my wife. We went to Jersey Gardens.
Jersey Garden, me and my wife, we lived in Connecticut and now we live in Florida. But every time we go to Jersey, we hit Jersey Gardens. How could you not?
It's funny too because I'm in the Nike store and buying my wife some shit for her birthday, and I ran into fucking Teddy P from E-Town.
Oh, dude, I was just talking to Ted about Teddy P. Me
Dude.
and the guys from Eternal Suffering, we were like naming our favorite drummers. And
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm like Derek Roddy, Flo from Cryptopsy, Teddy P, Will Shepler on the early Madball.
Oh, for sure.
Like on Set It Off,
Crazy.
and like Alex Marquez, like so. Obviously, I come from a huge death metal background, but I was exposed to the hardcore scene. And you know what? I think I've seen you when you were a little kid, at probably the Pipeline or Studio One, because Reek and I were best friends. Reek and I were roommates in the past. So we were really, really tight at one point.
I never made it to Studio One or Pipeline because I was too young.
Too young, right?
I came in right around like 2000, 2001. Right as Embrace the Angel came out.
So like, was it like when they were doing like the Lyndhurst VFWs and
They were doing that. They were doing Kenilworth VFW.
Kenilworth, Middlesex County College, right? Like, yeah, that's a good time. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was fading away at that time. You know, I got into like the club music and the partying and the drugs, but
It happens.
it happens, man. So Jay, so take us back, man. What's because I hear, and not in a disrespectful way, I hear you don't sound the same, okay? But I hear a little bit of like a little bit of a E-Town flavor, right? To kind of represent them. But I hear indecision too, and I hear like pure hardcore and everything that you're doing as well. So it's kind of like a salad. It's very well balanced. And then you got some really good raps, which for me, a lot of the hardcore bands that would rap, with the exception of E-Town and a few others, would turn me off because the MCs did not MC like an MC, right? They would MC like a Beastie Boy type, and like for me that was kind of whatever.
I understand.
You know, so like, but you actually, when you MC, kind of like Anthony, and I did hip hop for a little bit too, and I was very, very, very involved. When you MC, you actually MC. You're not like hardcore, just trying to make it rhyme, trying to make it sound like hip hop. And then I admire that about you because you were just not afraid to do this. And you're also not afraid to do it right after E-Town. Not that you sound like a clone, because like, again, you sound nothing like them. You're doing your own thing. It just happens to have rap, hardcore, and metal, elements all at the same time.
Sure.
How did this Bayway stuff like get cooking? Like what got you started?
So I started, I guess I was more like I was more actually into death metal when I first like really was like was playing.
Right.
Because I was into guitar, but like so when I first started playing guitar, I was like I was into obviously I was into E Town, I was into Downset, I liked NJ Bloodline, but
Right.
I really got into that stuff the same time I got into like Cannibal Corpse and Slayer and Dying Fetus. So
Right.
like all of that stuff really appealed to me because it had that bounce. And then obviously, you start getting into like early suffocation. You start
Oh yeah.
getting into Skinless, like the '90s stuff that Skinless did was like really bouncy, really New York. Then you
Yeah.
find Eternal Bleeding, you know what I mean? And then you're off to the races after that. I dehumanize all the shit.
Yeah.
So like
Chronic
that kind of started me there. Like I went to a show that had Shattered Realm, it had E Town, it had NJ Bloodline, also had December.
I started December.
I do, and it was the Embrace the Angel time too.
So I started December and I went to jail, and then it was so petty of me because I actually became friends with those guys when I got out. I started December, I went to jail, they kicked me out. I mean, how could they fucking keep me on? I was in jail. So when I got out, I was mad at them for like a very long time. But then Mario wound up doing the high screen vocals on the Dripping album, and till the day that he died, we're best friends. Me, Jerry, and the guys. There's no beef. I had like my little immature kid thing in my head.
Yeah, I mean Mario, I think he just really stuck out to me because the dude was just such a psychopath,
Oh yeah, man.
live.
Dude.
I mean, I remember he broke the mic and he was like screaming over the music, and you could still hear him, and he was just shrieking. And I mean, obviously the hardcore reality stuff was awesome too, like all that. But like, yeah, I just like I kind of started in death metal, and then I just kind of worked my way in. I started playing. I played in Year Spent Cold for a while, and
What's
wrote.
that sound like? Is it out there anywhere?
But Year Spent Cold is out there for sure. And then I don't know if any of my earlier stuff really is. I probably could find it on CD and put it out. It's pretty funny. I actually probably should. But
Or at least upload it on YouTube.
and then later on, I started getting into like slam. I was doing a band called Hog Slammer for a while, where I was doing like everything on it, like vocals, everything. And then Bayway just kind of started coming out of COVID, wanting to do music that was fun. You know what I mean? Wanted to do something that was interested me. And at first, I wasn't even singing in the band. I was playing guitar, I was playing bass, and then it just one day I was like, you know what? Like we had another guy singing, it didn't work out, and I was like, yo, let me demo my vocals on it. I wound up rapping on it, and I was like, it was sort of a joke, kind of like I was like, I really can't say Bayway motherfucker, right? Like that can't really be my lyrics, right? Like I can't really do a rap part. But then like I sent it to the homies and they were just like, yo, this is really good, bro. And I was like, all right, I guess we'll do this then, you know. But like, I mean, always had like a heavy Biohazard influence. You know what I'm saying? And was always into that stuff. But like my sister, Lisa, actually used to hang out with Henry Hess, who was the original.
That's my friend. That's my boy, Henry.
Yeah, so he was like, you know, so I was just always around this shit, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I didn't really have a choice in the matter. And even back then, like, I didn't even really like this kind of music. I used to call it guitar music. Because I really didn't fuck with it. I was into like DMX and Big L and Big Pun, and I was listening to that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just didn't care about this. And then like, you know, it's just weird because it's like, you know, as you get older, it's like you really go back to the stuff that you really loved, you know, like the stuff that you really like. And that's really what Bayway is. Like Bayway is Das Effects and Hatebreed. You know what I'm saying? Like
Not only that you go back to something that you really love, but you'll give a chance to something that you, when you were younger, you're like, that sucked. And I find myself listening to albums and I'm like, why didn't I listen to this when I was, you know, why did I skip this?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And but hey, listen, we're doing it now. But no, dude, that's great, man. And I know it was because I watch your stories and stuff like that, and I watch you in your factory, and I know you're playing your roads and stuff like that, which is that's great, man. And having it's weird because when I talk to some of my favorite death metal bands like Mortal Decay, and those guys are like they're all into hip hop. They're all into electronic music. Like
you hear it though. You can hear it. It's where did that bounce come from? If
any talented band, just any talented band does not listen to what they really play and stick to one thing. Because if you're a musician, you explore everything. I mean, I like flamenco. I like jazz. I like so. Well, listen, not enough about me. Let's not make it about me. Okay, so you start the Bayway thing, and yeah, it's weird because I'd seen you around, and then we really never formally introduced each other until the Williams Center. But I felt like I'd known you for years, man. And I'm just like, yo, dude, and you were so humble about it. We're like, yo, dude, one day, dripping Bayway, we got to do something. And you're like, it's already done, dude. You put it out there in the universe. We're gonna fucking do it. You know what I mean? And that was like just so cool because there's people when you didn't forget where you come from, and to your point, Jacob, and when people sometimes grow, they tend to not forget others, but kind of like get caught on that pace that they don't have time for the earlier people that they were with or help them get where they're at, you know what I mean? Absolutely. In a way.
Yeah, my thought process was just like, as far as like, I always fucked with dripping. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. I didn't even want to ask you because it's never about dripping if you even heard of us. But
no, I always fucked with it, and like, well, because I followed all of the December stuff, and then it just kind of like it morphed it, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, I'm just a Jersey guy too. Like, if it came out of this area, like, I definitely vibed with it. Like, I was big into Contortion. I was big into
Contortion. I worked for Nick's father. I know Nick and his brother from Iceland, whatever the fucking town.
Iceland.
So I worked for Nick's father when they were Contortion, him and Don, and then I guess they started the death metal band. Yeah. But it's a weird thing. Me and Schlack were talking about it one day. Like, it's like Jersey people, we have like this honor thing. Like, you're from Jersey, you run into somebody from Jersey, dude, you're good. It's like, you're with us. You know what I mean? It's like, we always try to support each other for the most part, you know?
For sure. Yeah, that was like, I think I saw Contortion was like one of the first bands I ever saw where I saw like kids doing cartwheels. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And like, I remember somebody came up to me, it was during a Contortion set, and they were like, do you dance? Right? And I remember thinking to myself, like, fuck is this motherfucker talking about, bro? No, I don't fucking dance. Like, I'm hard. Right? And next thing I know, I found out dancing was like cartwheeling into me. And I was like, yo, if I don't get out there and start moving, they're basically just going to beat the shit out of me. So
Right, right.
that happened for me my first time at a contortion show. And I feel like you know what was funny too is like, you know, like how everybody got on the deathcore thing later on. And like you remember
I
claiming to be deathcore because
so
it was
for
like
me,
death vocals with the hardcore shit.
when Dripping ended, we finished our album in 2020 in 2002.
Yeah.
And then I got out of the scene until Dripping came back in 2023. So I skipped the deathcore and the metalcore. So I don't really know much about it. I don't hate it. I hear some of these bands are very talented.
Incredible. Yeah.
I was lucky, not lucky. Well, I skipped that stuff. I don't really know much about it, but Jacob's your deathcore guy if you want to politic about it, you know?
It was just funny because it was like I remember them being like the original guys to say the word deathcore. Like
Yeah.
they were death metal vocals with a hardcore band. And that was like I remember thinking to myself like that because they even had like NJDC on their shit. Like
No
it
shit.
was
Was
Jersey
that
Death.
Contortion?
Yeah, and that's going
Oh,
back,
okay, yeah, okay. And then they started the Digested Flesh, right?
which was
After.
fucking great with the frog vocals and shit.
Yeah,
It was
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know Nick, I know his mom, I know his father. Like, I worked for his father, dude. I know Nick, like they're very good, the whole family. They're very kind, they're very good people, they're Greek. Yeah, Nick was a huge Dripping fan, and I think I want to say he started Digestive Flesh because he liked Dripping. At the time, we were the only guttural band out of North Jersey. You know,
fucking A, right. Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Bowerman was doing it, and then we were doing, we didn't call it slam, but we were doing these breakdowns. Again, does Dripping have hardcore elements? Probably, it does.
Yeah.
I lived the hardcore scene because the hardcore scene was it was more like unfiltered. Like you didn't have to have some kind of perception of being this long hair guy with a bullet bill. It was just more clean. Like you can just go in your sweats or whatever you're wearing, and no one was gonna judge you, and it's just like,
More accepting.
yeah, yeah, it was more accepting, and I made so many friends, and I'm very, very thankful for that because like when we do play with and then my friends come out, it just feels really cool, like not to be there was a thing when I was going on, like the pits were really wild and like the metal kids were like push and shoved and the hardcore kids were like, the kickboxing, so there's just like all this kind of violence, going
Shit,
on.
shit didn't mesh back then. The way
Did
that
you ever go to Chrome
yeah,
or
I lived at Chrome, lived at Birch Hill.
let me ask you something. Do you know a friend of mine who passed away, Ian Schnug?
Maybe it sounds familiar. Was he in a band or no?
He was not in a band, but he would hang out with like I don't know if you know any. I don't know if you go as far back as like Second to None and Old Fury of 5 Days.
Yes,
But he would hang out with like the Tech Crew a lot.
yes, yes.
And he passed away. And he was like one of those cartwheel guys. But it was funny because I was telling Phil from my rate, the first time I've ever seen anybody do that was Little Greg.
Yeah, yeah.
From Everybody Gets Hurt, man. But no, man, that's great, man. And are you still in Elizabeth? Probably not, right? Everybody gets
I
out.
mean, my mother's still in Elizabeth, so it's cool because I spend a lot of time there. But my factory is actually right in Roosevelt Park, so I'm very close to home. So I still get to go down there and get food and do all the things that I normally do. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, man.
I'm working my way up Westfield Avenue now. You know what I'm saying?
So the Union County was when we would go to the pipelining studio, like that's where I first met Reek in 1991 at Studio One. Bloodline had a two-song demo, but Union County had a big scene. Like a lot of people would come
Yeah,
from that area. Do
I had
you
one for one.
know anything about an iconic New Jersey hardcore band called the Human Offense?
The Human Offense. Who was in the
Check
Human?
check them out. They're very dark. They're very dark. The Human Offense, they were active from like 1989 to possibly 1983. They played
Okay.
a huge part in the New York hardcore. I don't want to give this away because Zach from Bulldoze told me he was doing something, but there were when Bulldoze was called Retribution, like we had a scene, it was like New Jersey Bloodline, Bulldoze was Retribution, Strength 691,
Yep.
which became For the Love of afterwards.
Yep.
It was really cool. It was a really fun time, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bands from that time period that were just absolutely insane. And I feel like, for Bayway, like a lot of that was like super influential. Like the early Bloodline demo was very influential for Bayway. The One for One stuff. I liked Fat Nuts.
Oh, dude, dance. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. One for one.
Yeah, Bloodsport by Fat Nuts is the shit.
I
Like,
love Fat Nuts, dude.
dude, he's so ridiculous. I really liked Conspiracy. Like I loved McGee's vocals. You know what I mean? All of that stuff for me.
Conspiracy, dude. Fucking what's oh my God. Yeah. McGovern's the man, bro. But fucking what was the guitar player's name? And he was my boy, and I forgot his name. And he went like
Seth,
complete into hip hop.
was it Seth?
No, it's not Seth. It was fucking Shaggy.
Oh,
Shaggy.
Shaggy, yes.
Shaggy just like one day was like, yo, I'm just doing hip hop. And he like quit Conspiracy. I'm like, why? Conspiracy's fucking awesome. You know what I mean?
Dude, what a great record that was.
Seth and I are good friends, man. McGovern, yeah, we were super cool, like I haven't seen him in a while. I think McGovern's a great person. I think he does a good job doing
Bulldoze.
Yeah, yeah. Who does not do in Bulldoze?
I think he's on bass. I think he went back to bass.
He went back to. I talked to Zach yesterday. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, and Zach I've known for a very long time. Always like a nice guy. Like I never heard Zach say anything bad about anybody,
Yeah.
get into any fights, get in the middle of any drama. He was just like this neutral, good guy. You know what I mean? Like I told him, listen, we're playing May 17th. Come out and hang out. And he tries to come out. I always try to keep in contact with Zach. Zach's the fucking man.
Yeah,
Yeah, another iconic band, man.
yeah. I just got off tour with Mike because he's in Hold My Own now.
Yeah. I seen him. I went to see Marauder at FYA, and Mike played.
Yeah.
How come you guys didn't play FYA?
We just didn't do it this year. We did it the year before that.
Oh, you did it the year before that. Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. It seems like a lot of politics, like, right?
I imagine it is. Yeah, I try to steer clear of most of it now. I went to the booking agent route. You know what I mean? Because
We need to do that.
it's easier. Like I don't want to get involved with all of the interpersonal shit. Like I like writing the music. I like recording the music. I like going out and touring on it. I don't want to do the other shit. The
We
business stuff is, yeah.
That's yeah, we have like these few shows and then we're just gonna write an album and we're just gonna shut it down. But yeah, I mean the economy and you got these shysters telling you this, telling you that, and you get there and they fucking cheap half your money. Like it's crazy because like not to be a dick, we don't do this for the money, but you're telling me I gotta take four of my guys who have jobs,
Right.
get them out of the house for 3 days so they're not earning anything, and then when we get here, you want me to play for like it's insane. That's good that well you guys are blown up, man. So
I appreciate that.
how was the tour with Biohazard, man? It must have been fucking great.
The tour with Biohazard, it had a little bit of a rocky thing to it because some of the got canceled, but the dates that we did do with them were fucking awesome. They were awesome. But Bayway I just kept it rolling, bro. I just booked other shows and just kept going. Fuck it. You know what I mean? I don't know how to stop.
I see that. I see that in you, man. You just like, you just don't get you seem like you just don't get down about a lot of things. You just keep rolling, man. Whatever the night is whatever night. And congratulations on being sober. I struggle with addiction. I did some time sober. You know, it's just kind of like an in and out thing. But
Yeah.
I know it's an accomplishment, man, and I know you feel great probably.
Yeah, I mean, 2.5 years in now, or 2.5, well, 2 years, 7 months. And you know, I think one of the coolest parts about it for me is that the timeline of it matches up with Bayway sort of like getting bigger as a band. So it's like
You're focused now.
I'm focused on it, but even more than that, it's like I'm seeing the fruits of my labor, like not only with my family and like being able to like just, be around for everybody a little bit more and be more present, but like
Yeah.
also with Bayway's success, right? Like Bayway's getting more tours, with the things are working out for us. And it's like, it seems like those things are going hand in hand. So it's like makes it easier to stay on the path for me, I guess,
When I was sober, I did a tour sober, and I tell you what, it was the fucking best time on stage ever.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I felt number one that I felt everything,
yeah,
and the rush was just from playing. But number two, it was just like I was on fucking point. Like
yeah.
not
Did
missing
it right.
notes. And it just like it works. And so after that, even though I went back to drinking, I said to myself, well, I'm not playing
Fucked up.
drunk
Yeah,
ever again because that alone is a rush and it's a commitment to make, man. But
yeah.
so wifey's birthday, congratulations on that. You guys look very happy. How long have you been married?
We've been married for 7 years. We're gonna be together for 20 this year.
Oh, nice, man. That's great, man.
Yeah,
That's great.
it's crazy. It's crazy. It's
That-
it's one of those things. But I met her in hardcore. You know what I mean? Like
okay.
I met her, actually met her at Club Chrome. So that's going back that far, and
Yeah,
that's
Chrome.
yeah, and that's where we're at now. Still fucking just two kids from hardcore, just still together. Just she supports what I do, and I can't ask for anything better.
What better than that, man? With Bayway, did you have a lot of lineup changes? It seems like for the most part, the core guys are in the band, right?
We had about what I could say is probably a million bass players at this point. I think we're on our fifth bass player, but now the bassist that I have is actually somebody I've been friends with since he was 15 years old. So it kind of like him not being in the band in the beginning is kind of weird that he wasn't even in the band, to be honest. Like he should have been the guy anyway.
Yeah.
Like it kind of worked out the way that it was supposed to, I guess. But our original guitar player, he left the band because he had a baby. So it wasn't like bad blood or anything like that. It's just had a baby, can't tour. Like we got signed to Trustkill and he had a baby at the same time. So it's like, and if you knew him, you would understand that like that's his luck. You know what I mean?
And listen, some people choose that path, man.
Right. And you know what? He's great as a dad, and he literally is probably the most happy I've ever seen him.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And that's
I'm
great.
happy for him. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Your bass player and I have a connection because he's really good friends with, and I think he might be in the same crew as Wes, the GOG.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so I've known him from there, and like when I ran into him in Florida, when I was like, "Yo, what's up, dude?" We were just like we're chilling. So yeah, he's great, dude.
Yeah, he's known Wes, he's known Gutter forever. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've met him with Wes like a lot of times, man. So yeah, man. So and then you're doing the Shattered Realm, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Which is
Absolutely.
great. I've known Joe for a long time, before he had Punishment and before he had Shattered Realm. We had a mutual friend that lived in my neighborhood who actually moved down to the Philly, Atlantic City area,
Oh,
and
okay.
they became friends. And then somehow I ran into Joe. He's like, "Hey, do you know this guy?" I'm like, "Hey, he's one of my best friends." He's like, "Oh, he's my best friend." So I haven't seen Joe in a while, and it's good to see Joe back doing what he does because he's a really good dude. I never had a problem with Joe, man. It's always been like pleasant every time we kicked it.
Yeah, I mean, he's just the coolest part about Joe to me is that he's as advertised. Like you get like he's not going to give you some weird version. Like he's always the same. He's a consistent person. Like you do good for him, he does good for you. It's like a
Right.
very easy thing. You know what I mean? And like but yeah, being in a band with him has been a really really great experience because I feel like I mean I grew up really like idolizing Shattered Realm as a Jersey kid.
Yeah.
Like to be able to write for the band, be in the band, write a record for the band, and sort of like, I mean, we hear it all the time when we play, like, yo, it's the best the band's ever sounded, this, that, and the third. So it's like
That's
that's
amazing.
yeah, that's fulfilling, man. That's
When you find that lineup, I said that to Marauder. I said that to Jorge because I think that Marauder has the best lineup since Master Killer, and Master Killer was an iconic album, and
sure.
they have the opportunity to just fucking to do it huge, and that's admirable, man. And I was gonna make it to the West Palm show, but I worked, and my buddy Dennis went with his son, who are huge fans, and they had a blast. I think you guys were like swinging swords or something like that at the Shattered Realm show down here in Florida.
It sounds about right. Yeah, it sounds about right. Those shows actually were really really fucking cool. It was like it was Bayway, Death Before Dishonor, and Shattered Realm. So it was like I had to get up there and play twice, which sometimes can be a thing.
So do we?
Yeah, sometimes can be a thing. But you know what? Um, I've really enjoyed my time in Shattered Realm. I think I got about 2 years in now, and it's been nothing but good, man. Nothing.
Listen, when I watch the videos, it fits, bro. It
Yeah,
works.
thank you.
It's like you don't want you know when it clicks, it clicks. You know what I mean?
And
God,
like as
I
far as
squeezed a leak. Don't forgive me. I've been fucking pounding water trying to clean my system. So forgive me. I'll be right back. Jacob, take over the questions for 1 second.
Appreciate it. So Jay, like my question for you is like,
Not 1 second, as long as you want, buddy. I'm not gonna hog the mic.
like what of like hardcore bands like back in the day like influenced you as a vocalist? Like what inspired you to like take vocals and like I want to do that?
that's a great question. I mean, I really, really, really enjoyed, and I can't say it enough. Like I think it's '92 when the demo came out, the Bloodline demo with like Matter at Hand and those songs and those were like those were songs that I thought to myself, maybe I could sing. And then I really, really loved Scarhead. Like the early Scarhead stuff was like big for me. I loved Son of Scam. I loved obviously loved Madball. Um Hatebreed was, I mean, it's just like an obvious one, you know what I mean? Um Obviously I was super into E-Town. I'm from Elizabeth. But yeah, I think the biggest influence vocally for me, hands down, is Downset. That Downset record that came out, I think it's 94 is the record. It was just, it was just like it just clicked for me. I was like, that's fucking cool. Like he sounded like a hip hop artist, but he was able to get really intense with his vocals, and he was able to translate the street anger, but like in a way that fit hard. You know what I mean? I had never really heard anything like that before, where I was like, yo, that's like hip hop, but done over hard music like that. I never heard anything like that. So after I heard that, I was like, that's it, I'm sold. Like I'm into hardcore now. And then it was just like after that, you know what I mean? It was just I went down every rabbit hole I could, to try to figure out the, like, other bands that sounded like this. And there really weren't many. I would cite Candiria as well.
Oh, I love Candiria.
Yeah, I would cite Candiria as well as like a big time. Like I remember seeing on like MTV X or some shit like that. Like Candiria was doing Signs of Discontent, and or I think it was like 300% Density was the song maybe. Um, but yeah, like the hip hop vocals and the barking.
Mental politics, dude, that stuff. It's like it's real hip hop, and that's what I appreciate when like when bands throw in the rap. I like it when you actually when people actually MC and they're not cutting corners and just being like, "Hey, I rhyme because I die." You know what I mean? Like when they actually MC, and
Yes.
that's when they actually have the flavor to be an MC. You know what I mean?
And I think that's what it is. I think there's a certain attitude and a certain flavor and a certain confidence that you have to have in order to perform like that. I was saying like the early NJ Bloodline stuff was probably what started it for me because
Oh,
he just I mean, Reek just really didn't give a fuck. You know,
no.
he really did not.
I know Reek, like we live together, so I know Reek. I
And I
know his
loved what he did
mother.
on Hoods too. Like I loved what he did on the Hoods records too. It was fucking
Oh, hell yeah.
Ghetto Blaster's like one of my favorite records.
And I remember, not, I God rest his soul because I love him. I love him. He's a brother. And I just remember being like, what are you doing, asshole? You have the world. Like, and he was just like such a street dude that he was just like, we'll just do this. We'll just drink a 40. Fuck it. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, you're going on in like 30 minutes. he's like, here, just give me that 40. And like I would see him just pound that 40 and then he just get on stage and just fucking puke. But Reek had no limits. Uh, he was super smart, super kind. I can't say anything bad about Reek. I miss him. I miss him a lot and like fucking super talented.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know everywhere he went, no matter what the band was, whether it was when he did Homicidal,
Yeah.
did Hell Brigade, he was in Hoods. If you put him in the front, the band was good.
Yeah. He was
You
a
know what I
front.
mean? Like nobody, you can't. I don't give a fuck what you say. Reek is he had star power that was beyond what I think people can fathom. You know what I mean? He understood what it was to be a front man, and he had a command and an attitude like nobody else, and probably nobody else will ever have. You know?
Reek was so funny because he would date a neighborhood friend of mine. That's how I met him. He dated a neighborhood friend of mine named Cheryl. So then they get an apartment in Belleville. So Cheryl would work and Reek was in Bloodline. But when she went to work, we would be like all the coldest lights guys would be hanging out there. Like, Mike the Gook, we'll all be fucking just chilling there partying, and she come home from work and be like, "What the fuck?" But Reek had this thing that he thought he was a chef. So like after we were all drunk and high and all fucked up, he would just like just go into the cupboards and just fucking grab like whatever he can find, and he would make like this curry ramen noodles with fucking peas. Dude, it was just bizarre, But it was Reek, right? If you hung out with Reek, and it's a shame because it was COVID, and me and my wife, we did a staycation down at the Jersey Shore, and he was like, "Come over to see me," and I was like, I'm gonna come over to see you," and I got busy, and I didn't come over to see him, and then I never got to see him again, and
Yeah,
I should have, and I regret that because then he passed away after that.
yeah. I mean, it happens. You know what I mean? It happens.
And that's why when you mentioned that at the Hollywood show, like I was like that hit hard. I'm like, oh, that's why I was like, dude, thank you. You know what I mean? Like to give him honor, and then if he fucking is Elizabeth EPAC, bro. You know what I mean? Like
Sir.
New Jersey Bloodline is fucking Elizabeth. You know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, yeah, it's just, I mean, I just when I started Bayway, like the thing that I kind of I thought was missing in hardcore was that like bands weren't paying homage to to the shit that made them what they were. Like I just didn't feel like that's what was going on, like and
Yeah,
and a lot of the older guys when Bayway first came in and they were all very appreciative, you know what I mean, that like, and things go whatever way they go, but like at the end of the day, like for me, like all I could say is like I this is the stuff I came up on. So like for me, I have an immense amount of respect for it. And like I don't really give a fuck about the interpolitical nonsensical bullshit because that's what it is for me. From the outside looking in, like I don't give a
yeah,
fuck what the problems are, bro. Fuck you. You know what I mean?
yeah. I always been the same way with that
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't care,
I'm
bro. For
steered
me,
away from the gangs, the politics, and all that.
for me, it's about the music, bro. It's about the
Absolutely.
and what it does for me and what it did for me and that's you know so I just I enjoy what I enjoy. Like I cite that record that Bloodline demo as being very influential for me vocally, but also that Downset record was really like when I heard Anger for the first time, when that shit came on in the car for the first time, and he said anger, hostility towards the opposition, and I was like, maybe he's not going to sing the whole song like that, and then he sang the whole song like that, and I was like, that's a thing. Like I didn't realize you could do that. And then obviously later on, you get into body count, you get into shit like
Oh,
that.
dude,
And it's just like,
the body count shit was great.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. And it's just like, so that's the stuff like that's the stuff. Actually, you know what got me into body count was, do you remember when 6 Feet Under put out One Bullet Left and they had Ice-T on
So
it?
I, so yeah, I got how will I explain it to her? Dripping broke up. I got into the club scene, and then I got into the corporate world. I got a job. I stopped playing music. All I did was play leads. I played like Dokken. So I skipped a lot of like that stuff, like 6 Feet Under,
Yeah.
Deathcore, and I skipped. I lost track of a lot of stuff. So I had to pick it back up when Dripping got back together because I had to listen to try to reproduce some music again. But I always kept the classics with me though.
Yeah, I mean, how could you?
The E-Town albums, the Bloodline albums, and I wish because the Human Offense, because you really need to listen because Human Offense, they were like best friends with Reek, and if you ever talk to Zach from Bolos, I wish I can somehow get you a copy of their music. I might have to email it to you, because they were an iconic Jersey band, and they were like fucking uh Carteret, maybe.
Okay.
Carteret, yeah. So I'm sure if you ask around some of the old heads, man,
Yeah,
they'll
I'll,
tell you about the Human Offense.
I'll text Zach right after I'm done with this shit and tell him I need the human offense shit.
Yeah, he might have it on CD. I have it ripped on my Mac, but I don't have it on CD. I mean, I'm sure I could email it to you some way, but you got to hear them. Very raw demo. It was recorded in Jersey City State College.
Uh-huh.
Probably like two mics, and like rock and play. But dude, fucking, and they did a little rapping. They were definitely for Union County. They were one of the bands that should have got more, um, not more respect because they do have more visibility.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I'm trying to talk to Joel. I want to put them on the streams, but I could just keep forgetting. I got 1,000 things going.
I understand. I understand.
I'm excited to see you guys on tour with Terror.
What's that?
I'm excited to see you guys on tour with Terror.
Uh, with terror?
Yeah, you guys are on that, right?
No, we are not. I wish.
Oh, hey, nice.
Damn. Okay, then I got like the
We're,
logo's very similar. Someone has a very similar logo to you guys.
oh, you better tell me who it is. Copyright infringement issues.
Oh, you copyrighted?
Yeah, I listen, man.
We just had to do it too.
I've been in business for 13 years with my soap company. So I learned a lot of the ins and outs to how to do this kind of shit. You know what I mean? And some of it I learned obviously because I made mistakes. That's the best way I learn. I don't know. I never was a school guy, but I learned from error.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned a couple tips and tricks along the way. But yeah, I definitely applied it to Bayway when we first started and just made the band like an LLC and did all that shit too. Like
Same here.
yeah.
Drippings and LLC were copyrighted. We're trademarked the logo. Because I seen what happened to Devin, where like they were coming out with like these type of sportswear jackets with their logo and stuff like that.
Dude, that was crazy.
Yeah,
We toured with Sam Sugarbog for a couple dates. It was fucking crazy.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
okay, my bad. I got the tours confused. My bad. I'm excited to see you guys on tour with the boys and gal and No Cure.
Oh yes, that's gonna be crazy.
That's gonna be absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited for that. That's gonna be, I think that's like our entire summer too. We start in July, I think July 12th, maybe. Don't quote me.
July
But
9th.
yeah, all right. So July 9th, and that's crazy. So I'm gonna play Hellfest. I think I played Hellfest twice with Realm and with Bayway, and then basically I'm going on that tour, and I'm not back until the middle of August.
We're playing together. We're playing Stopfest in Jacksonville.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Shattered Realm. And it was weird because it was like our first hardcore full venue and they kind of treated us like, we're like the only death metal band playing. But whatever, I was like, listen, let's take the show. It'll be a fun adventure. Sometimes it's not all about the money. Sometimes it's about like, the adventure, networking, having a good time. Jacksonville is like 5 hours from us, so it's not that big.
I think that's going to be good for you guys. I think there should be
Yeah.
more of that. I would love to see more dripping crossover.
We've been trying to, and it's been hard. I mean, when I went to FYA, I tried to kind of get us, but the scene is weird. There are some people who are all about perception, kind of like if their buddies like the band, they like the band. You know, not everybody's as open-minded as you or I, or like I guess coming from Jersey, we're kind of like a melting pot of everything because like, we live in urban neighborhoods where we step out and we hear like reggaeton and fucking hip hop, and then you know what I mean? We go in our houses and we're playing Slayer, so the story I always tell everybody, Ronnie Dio from Incantation, he started Incantation. He was a graffiti writer. He lived in Newark, the guy listened to hip hop, and he started one of the most iconic death metal bands in the world. And he was a Newark guy. And why was he so open-minded about music? Because he lived in kind of like an urban area where he was exposed to, KRS One, and then he's listening to the Cro-Mags, and then he's listening to Slayer, Morbid Angel, it's kind of like the way it is.
I feel like that's what it is though here. Like, I mean, that's what it was for me. It was like, Big L and Dying Fetus.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I liked, yeah, that's what I liked. And like the, I think people always like find it weird, but in Jersey, I don't think it's that far fetched. But like we we do get into like the weird death metal shit like here. That's our thing. And guys find out that I'm like into death metal. I think they get like almost weirded out, Like it was cool because we were on tour with Snuffed on Site, and it's like I'm kind of glad that Bayway's sort of like navigating its way into this like slam death metal world. Like
Yeah, yeah.
on tour with Defeated Sanity, like that's fucking
That's
amazing.
great.
It's amazing. So,
Love those guys.
dude, insane to watch them every single night.
Lyle and Vaughn, fucking great kids, man.
So it's so cool though to be able to like to get I guess acceptance as like a rapping hardcore band.
Yeah.
The death metal world is just like crazy, and the kids were totally vibing with us. It was awesome.
I think my favorite shows were crossover shows.
I agree. I agree. I agree.
I think that like the shows that I had the most fun at was like crossover shows.
Well, that's kind of why I'm excited about the No Cure thing too, because it's like every band on the show is completely different. And then Bolt Cutter, who's the opener, is just like straight, like gurgle vocals, and slam shit, and just kind of like off the wall, crazy sounding. And then like you have us, and then like it's just every band is completely different. So I feel like there's going to be crowds from all different,
Yeah.
and that's the best kind of show. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of like, a kid or two are just gonna be into like, oh, yeah, these guys are cool, man. Maybe I'll
Right.
listen to these guys, and everybody gets exposed. I think we're all in it, for the same cause, right? We want to just live our passion and do our art and um just do what you do. But what I respect about you is that you're not gonna change what you do, whether what venues you play or what you're playing. And if you stick to your recipe, it's kind of genuine. Like when it's real because you can feel it off a person. They're doing what they really love. And
Yeah.
like that's what attracts me to people, whether it's death metal, hardcore, fucking flamenco jazz. If I know that person's really feeling what he's doing and he loves it and he's got a passion for what he's doing, I fucking love it, man. I respect it, and that attracts me to it. Like this guy believes in what he does, man. And he's not going to change, and this is what he does.
Yeah, I really do. Like the coolest part about Bayway was the whole purpose of it was to do something that made me feel about music like I was when I was a kid. Like I wanted to regain that passion. You know what
Right?
I mean? I wanted to regain my love for it, but I also wanted to do something where like I didn't have to give a fuck. I didn't want to be, oh, I want to sound like this, or I want to sound like that, or I want to do like this, or that. It was just like, let's write songs. We got in the room. That's what we wrote. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, let's try to write a Biohazard tune. It was just like, this is
Yeah.
what came out today. You know what I mean? And that's the direction. And now we're off and running. And it's still like that. You know what I mean? It's still like that. Like a lot of the stuff that I do, even when I'm writing new music, I'm not writing with the intent for any specific thing. I'm just kind of like whatever I'm doing, that's what I do. Like I don't I don't have like this preconceived notion or anything like that. Like I sit down, I play guitar, whatever happens, happens. You know what I mean? And if it's bayway, it's bayway. If it's not, I'll know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, later on you should be able to figure it out. I had this conversation with my guitarist because a lot of guys are just caught up on our first album and they're like, that was iconic. It's like we can't rewrite that, guys. We got to come up with like we all grown and if we like it, let's just do it. Why be afraid? What's the worst that's gonna happen? Like maybe 10 people are not gonna like it. You know,
Even that is like, yo, like the
we
thing
like it, that's all that matters.
and music too, like it we live in a time where everything is so different from the way it once was in terms of like people holding on to something, right? Like, yeah, people hold on to the classics for sure, but like even if you release a song that you're unsure of, right? Like you're being vulnerable putting it out because you're like, oh my God, I don't know, is this? You know what I mean? Is this a dripping song? What if you put it out and everybody fucks with it? Like that's how I look at it. Like, just be vulnerable. Like that's what dripping actually really is
You
anyway.
have nothing to lose. There's always much to gain, and it'll
Exactly.
be a journey lesson. Yeah, I feel like you kind of listen to the same motivational speakers that I do. If you're into motivational speakers,
Yeah, I do. I get into it. It depends. Right now, I'm like so inundated with albums that I'm working on. Like I'm working on like 6 or 7 different records right now, and then I'm working on New Bayway. So
so
I'm
for people, or you are actually in these bands?
for other people. For other people, yeah.
Oh, you record other bands?
Yeah, yeah. I have a studio. It's called Bayway Studios. And I've just been I literally like I was home for 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks, in between tours, and completely like I said, just inundated with people's records, man. Just like I'm just in the zone right now. Like every day I come in, I do a new thing. Like I was working on a death metal record yesterday. Uh,
Nice.
I was working on like more of like an alternative band today, and then I finished a hardcore record like 3 days ago, and then today I did vocals for the new Bayway. So like it's just constantly every day, you know what I mean? Music, 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 music. So right now I'm just sponging. I'm like taking in all of this new shit constantly. But it's cool because it's like I feel like I go through periods in time where it's like that, where I'm sponging or I'm creating.
You know, that's great. Jesus, my friends. I gotta step out and talk to my wife in a second. Like I was going through a kind of like a tough time mentally, just from some personal issues, and I wasn't picking, like we played and I didn't pick up my guitar to and now we're going hitting the road again for a couple of dates, and then like I just started picking up my guitar like last week, and it's just like I had to break through that wall of like not wanting to pick it up, like I don't know, do you ever get burnt out like that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I
Yeah,
thought I was the only one.
I literally do. What I do when that happens to me though is I'll pick up a bass.
Okay.
I'll start to play another instrument. I play drums, I play bass, I play guitar. So what I'll do is, and this is actually one of the crazier things. So when we got signed to Trustkill, prior to that, I was having like a writer's block in terms of like writing vocals for songs. So I actually got like 12 hip hop beats, and I wrote all of the vocals for the recipe that came out on Trustkill. I wrote it all to hip hop songs. And then after I had the full record written of all hip hop shit, I came back and I said, okay, let me write these instrumentals now to kind of fit what I was doing vocally.
Yeah, just twist them around, just
Yeah, and so like normally,
pattern.
obviously, you start with the guitar part or whatever, but I started with the vocals for the recipe, and then I worked my way down from there. So it's kind of like a very weird thing. But to your point, though, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're just not wanting to play guitar. You're not wanting to, you know what I mean? And like, so I find ways around it. Like I'll pick up an acoustic. I'll play nothing but finger picking for like a week, and then I'll find my way back to it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I do it.
You know what it is, man? It's kind of weird. Like, my wife and I, we have like a really cool relationship, and her son doesn't live here. My daughter doesn't live here, so it's like us and the pets.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times we just love to spend time together.
I
You know
get
what
it.
I mean? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, let's just do, it's just like and it just kind of like flies off to like, but lately I've been pushing myself, just to just run through the set and just keep writing, keep writing music. Because I was having some trouble with some issues and with some substances as well. And one day I'm sitting here and I was partying and I'm like, I've wasted all this money. And I'm like, I thought that like if I was like all fucked up on tripping, I would be able to write like this cool dripping stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm confessing because I don't have any shame. Everybody knows what I do. I have no shame in my life.
I
And
appreciate
the drugs didn't do anything for me. They hindered me. I couldn't play.
it. I know. I know.
And when picked up the guitar sober, like that's when I was like, dude, like I don't really need a drug. Like I could just do this
Yep.
for hours.
I think people convince themselves, and you know what it is? It's like you get into like a loop, like a cycle, right? So it's like, okay, I can't write unless I'm fucked up. And then you
Yeah.
realize that like the guitar is actually the high. Like you could when you sit down and you write a song and you're focused on that and you're not fucked up and you do it successfully, that's a high that you may chase for the rest of your fucking life. You know what I mean?
It's so much better,
Yeah,
guys. I gotta talk to the wife.
yeah,
Two
do you think?
seconds. I hate Jacob.
I got it. Appreciate it. I'm gonna bust his ball so much when he gets done. I'm planning to move out to Jersey in a couple years with my soon-to-be wife.
Incredible. Where are you at now?
Iowa, the
Holy
boringest
shit.
state in the world.
Yeah, I was just there actually. I just played where the hell did I play? Right in that downtown area by a college.
Oh, you played in Des Moines, I'm guessing.
I played in Des Moines.
Yeah, like, see, like the one thing I hate about doing interviews, and I hate it the most, is when everybody's like, "Oh, you know Slipknot?" Then I'm like, "Oh, this joke is never gonna get old." And like, I'm friends with Pyrexia, and like we were out there chilling, and like they played Iowa City, which is like 2 hours away from Des Moines, and they're
Okay.
all like this. So, are you planning to move to the East Coast? I was like, I'm thinking about it. They're like this. What's stopping you? And I'm like this. I got family here. They're like, that's understandable, but they're like, you had that East Coast mentality.
Right.
And I'm like this. I don't know what that means. They're like, you're too out front for your own good sometimes out here. I was like, it's because I don't give a fuck.
I mean, listen, I think the East Coast is, I mean, obviously I'm biased here, but I enjoy the food, I enjoy the attitude, I enjoy the faster lifestyle. Um, but when I'm touring, I find myself in the Midwest, I find myself in the middle of the country, and I do enjoy it when I'm there. I don't know if I could live it. Um, but it's a nice break from the East Coast for me. You know what I mean? That's how I kind of look at it.
Like, I look at it like I'm excited for it because, like, I've sat down and talked to my old lady multiple times because you always want to get that okay before you pull the trigger.
Stamp of approval for sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, this, you want to do this? And she's all like this. And she's like, yeah, why don't we? And I'm like this, I don't know. And she was all like this. Uh she was like, I got my license to work with, she works with autistic kids. I love her to death. She's the sweetest girl in the world.
Yep.
I'm
She has
autistic.
and freaking I'm like, let's do this. She was all like this. You want she was like, what do you want to do out there? I was like, I work a 9 to 5 job. I said, I want to do more music shit. And she's like this, you know, too many people out there to not carry on the legacy you're doing. I was like, yeah. She's like, name all your friends right now. And I'm like, Chris from Pyrexia, Don from Waking the Cadaver. All these guys are all busting my chops like this. Don texted me this morning. He's like, this, when you moving out here, bro? I'm like, this. Damn, stop busting my chops. I was like, this. I was like, my old lady wants to wait a couple years to get our finances set, then we'll be out there.
Yep. I mean, it's a good place to be, especially if you want to be in music. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I feel like it's almost unfair. I always say my quote about it is that we're like spoiled bitches because like we get everything in Philly. If we don't get it in Philly, we get it in Jersey. If we don't get it in Jersey, you're getting it in Brooklyn or you're getting it in Manhattan. You know what I mean? It's like all of the good shit, kind of like all of the shit that I really love. You know what I mean? I feel like is all influenced by stuff that came out of New York anyway.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
New York is like I mean, it was really like the capital for all this shit. Like even
Even fashion, even like the thug fashion, you
everything.
know,
But even
all
death
that stuff.
metal came out of Buffalo.
Yeah,
Like all them guys went down to Florida eventually, but they started in Buffalo.
right.
Like if you look
The,
at
the
it,
thing for me is, and I lived in a lot of places when I left Jersey after Drippin' broke up. I moved to Connecticut. I moved to Rhode Island. I lived in Providence with my wife. I worked in Boston. And I do love New England. New England is kind of like Jersey. You have the neighborhood bar, you have the fucking wise ass guys,
Yes.
you have like the ball busters, you have your pizzerias. What I've noticed about Florida and Miami. Miami's very pretty for like entertainment and whatever fake materialistic thing, but you can't make those true bonds. Like if I meet somebody on a plane that he's from Jersey, me and that dude were like kicking it.
Yeah, that's your boy.
It's a given. And then like when it comes to, I a lot of my friends are like, hey, we're going to fucking eat some good pizza. I was like, listen, bro, don't fucking tell me about good pizza. You better be sure because I'm a fucking pizza guy.
Yeah.
I've had some of the best. You know what I mean? Like Calabria, Santillo's. I had, whatever. Most of the iconic Mancini's on Route 18 and in Brunswick. Like,
Yes.
anytime I visit my mom in Somerset, I'm there.
Even Connecticut too has great pies.
Yeah, and when I lived in Connecticut, Frank Pepe's and all that stuff. So like, I think that what a lot of places in America, like they build these pre-made communities and we grew up in how like, my house in Kearney was built in like 1876. We grew up in houses, my house in Connecticut was built in like 1900. We grew up in places that were around for like they have a lot of history, and at one point my neighborhood had like a butcher shop and a bakery and you had the Sal Maria, which is Italian place. So like, you go get your meat here, you get your bread here. It wasn't like you went to like Walmart and you purchased everything that you need to eat. It was just a neighborhood in a community. And you had the donut shop who was owned by this guy, and everybody knew each other. You know
And
what I
you
mean?
the owner, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like you had Peter's Pizzeria and you were short 50 cent, and the guy would be like, here, just
Yeah,
fucking
give
take
a
it.
fuck. You take it. I see you next time. Whatever it was.
Right, right. And like that's I think like maybe all over America, like corporations are taking over that. And I find that a lot of cities in America are missing that. It's all chain restaurants and stuff like that. And when I go to Jersey, dude, it's for me, you get to talk to my wife, it's a fucking eating feast.
Dude, tell me about
There's one thing that I love about Elizabeth and Newark. I love Portuguese grilled chicken with the yellow rice and French fries. Do you
it.
know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I do. What is it? They call it churrasco, right?
Yeah, like that stuff. Like they have a bunch of them. Pulaski, they have them in Denali. They have all these Portuguese that are just simple grilled chicken,
Yep.
French fries, and fucking
Yeah,
rice.
there's a spot literally 2 blocks from the studio, Stephanie's, that I go to all the time. And fuck, it's the shit. It's the shit. Like you go,
Right.
they got the shit is just spinning over the fire the whole time.
Yes. Spinning over the fire, they throw some hot sauce. And we got a lot of culture and I was very, very fortunate. I would take, from my kitchen window, 3 miles away was the World Trade Center. So I was able to take the PATH train to Manhattan, and just go hang out at NYU. I remember when fucking Set It Off came out. We're like there with a boombox, just fucking blasting and drinking 40s, like doing things like that could be irreplaceable. Taking the train and uh, my neighborhood was more of a lot more people listen to hip hop than they listen to metal, but I always listened to metal and I got into hip hop. And I remember taking one of my thug friends to Suffocation and Mortician at the Limelight. But the Limelight was a club and it had techno, hip hop, then Mortician, Suffocation were playing the main room, and then they had house music. Well, this kid Willie D, since that day he became a house music fan
because he was
he
there.
was exposed to that. Yeah, and it was a train ride away. So it it's unfortunate for some places in America.
Highlight was the church, right?
The limelight was the church. Yeah, it's unfortunate some places in America don't get. I mean, but New Jersey, New York, it's just like the melting pot of fucking everybody just migrated.
Yeah, we're spoiled. We're spoiled. We are truly spoiled.
I mean,
But it's the melting pot is the best word, and like I always say that, like when people get me an interview or whatever like that, it's always like, what are your musical influences and why does it sound the way that it does? And it's always that for me. It's like New Jersey is a melting pot. So we have all like I think that's why bands sound the way they sound, right? Like that's why you had Candiria, you had an E-Town, you had For the Love of, you had these bands because all of these outside influences, you know what I mean? All blending together, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if, God forbid, bands like that, like
hey, God forbid, great band. And I remember when we first started and we started traveling out and we would go to like these like states like that were I wouldn't say urban or maybe like a little more country is and then we would show up and I think one or two of our guys Tom had long hair, but he would always wear like an all-out war shirt and baggy pants. And then I remember somebody made a comment, they're like, oh, they're like a death metal band, but they're fucking wiggers. You know what I mean? But it wasn't that we were wiggers. We dressed like how everyone dressed in our neighborhood. Those guys were from Passaic and Clifton, and I was from Kearney, Newark, so it wasn't that we were wiggers. We loved death metal just more than fucking anybody else. But we just kind of dressed our environment.
Yeah, you were a product of your environment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's how everybody looked.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, yeah, that's how in our neighborhood, like that's how everybody looked. It wasn't, it was just kind of like, hey.
That's the thing is like I think people forget like is like not everybody is trying to be something. Some people just are.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes that's just who you are. Like you can't take that out of people, bro. You are who you are. Like you came up how you came up, and what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, it would have been weird for you guys to show up differently. If you guys had on spikes and weird fucking, it would have been like, what the fuck? Oh, you would all been making fun of each other. Like the guy that had the spike bracelet.
To add to your point, Roy Fox, he had like one of the biggest death metal record labels of all times, and him and I would stay up and listen to the Stretch and Bobbito show because I always felt that like I found a relation to underground hip hop and death metal because they were both raw.
Yeah,
they were both no filter, and I thought they went hand in hand. You know what I mean? Like they were like a parallel universe.
They're very much so, but I think more importantly than that, I think that they just pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable musically.
Yes.
And I think that was the coolest thing about it. But also, oddly enough, and to your point, especially in New Jersey, the cultures are tied together. Like that was like it was alternative to be hip hop at the time. And it was also alternative to be death metal. So it's like those two things could easily blend because there was no being in the middle for alternative kids back then. You know what I mean? Like it was alternative was like you were an outcast,
Yeah, I skipped that generation. I was very lucky. I never got into the alternative side. But no, I mean just growing up, I mean I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm so thankful to grow up in that area because like but then even going to CB's and seeing a lot of the people like, Danny Diablo and those guys that I would look up to. And these guys were, I can remember telling the story when I first seen Marauder. Everybody, well, not everybody, but at least I started with heavy metal and I had long hair, in the beginning. So I started with heavy metal and I had long hair and my cousin took me to Studio One and Marauder Biohazard was playing. And then I'm watching Marauder, and they sounded kind of like a thrash death metal band, but when they spoke on the mic, they sounded like fucking Big Daddy Kane thugs from, like, I was very confused at the time, being, 14, 15. I was like,
Of
whoa,
course, you're like, whoa,
this
guys like
band
that.
sounds fucking great. And then I got to do, there was this kid from Los Angeles that went to my school. He was there for like a transfer, Gus. He was a couple years older than me. And he used to hang out with Suicidal. He was friends with like the Suicidal Tendencies guys. And he was like a bodybuilder. And, I had a Megadeth shirt. And then he looked like a bodybuilder Guido-ish. And he's like, yo, you like Megadeth? Yeah. And I'm like, why is this fucking Guido asking me this? And he's like, yo, me too, bro. You're like Slayer and Suicide. And I'm sitting there looking at this kid like fucking
No
shocked.
fucking way.
And I'm like, and then he's like, yo, bro, you don't have to dress a certain way to like any kind of music, man. You can dress however you want. And I remember like that kind of opened up my
Defining moment.
yeah, just defining myself and being like, okay, I want to look a little neater so chicks like me. You know what I mean? Like, and then you get into like, hey, everybody in my neighborhood's looking fresh. Everybody's copping the fucking bootleg Air Forces. I gotta get it. I gotta kind of get with it too.
Gotta get in on that, bro. If I want to get some.
Hey, if I want to get some chicks and shit like that, because the King Diamond shirts with the ripped jeans were, they weren't going
They weren't
far.
drawing the attention from the ladies.
They weren't going far in the urban neighborhood, but the funny part is like when I would get chicks and they would come to my room and they'd be like, "Oh my God, what the fuck do you listen to?" You know what I mean? And I would never deny it. I was like, "Oh yeah, I listen to metal." And like, you know what I mean? It's just my wife has a hard time understanding that because she grew up in Hartford, Connecticut, and it was kind of like a black neighborhood. She grew up in like in a ghetto environment, and when I bring her around and she meets some of the people that like death metal and hardcore, and she's like, they like hip hop too? I'm like, yeah. I mean, what's so weird about that? Like what's so weird? I never found it weird that you can like hip hop and then Slayer. I don't know. I
Jersey,
found
bro. That's the Jersey in you, bro.
it is the Jersey in us. Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah. When I think when you would go to other states, maybe in the South, it probably was not accepted. At the
Yeah.
time.
I don't even. I can't even imagine that they were even like. I feel like it was just like very clear cut. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I can't really speak on it. All I can speak on is Jersey. I just know what it's like here. It's like I remember just being outcasted just because like I was just like I listened to hip hop and then I listened to death metal
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Same thing.
You
Same
know,
thing.
that was
And
it.
like I said,
Hardcore was like, I mean, hardcore was obviously in there. I had a bunch of bands that I fucked with, but I always like oddly enough for me, like I always liked the 90s hardcore bands were always like my shit. I never like not that I never got into like the newer bands at the time, like the early 2000s, mid 2000s, but
like
I
which '90s band? Let me pick your brain to see if
like I always like
POD.
Biohazard, I always like VOD, I always like Madball, I always like Marauder, I always liked, that was like my shit.
Yeah,
I always liked
yeah.
that. And I liked One for One, and I liked E Town, and I liked NJ Bloodline, and
Hell yeah, man.
Fury of Five. You know what I mean? That was
Fuck
my
you. Yeah.
shit. Like I liked that. I didn't so it wasn't that like I didn't identify with the hardcore bands of the time, but it didn't it didn't have the same flavor.
Best moment of my life was when the second Biohazard album came out, Urban Discipline, and they were playing the Palladium, and this is when they were going to shoot the Punishment video, and I think they were down with a lot of people from the New York scene, like I think Rick was around, all the people that I would fear in the pit, which was like Minus, Kevin Bulldoze, Saab, those guys were very hard dancers, and everybody was there. So I had my friends from high school and I bullshitted them. I said, hey, listen, let's go to the Biohazard show. I'll get us all in for free. They're like, for real, dude? They're like, hell yeah, man. I got you, bro. Evan said hi to me one time at Studio One. Complete lie. We jump on the train. We go to the Palladium. We get to the door, dude. Evan's talking to somebody. I'm like, hey, Evan, how you doing, bro? We're here for the show, but we don't have any tickets. You know what this fucking guy does? He hands me and my four friends tickets and goes, go inside, have a good time. And I'm waiting to one day meet fucking Evan to remind him of that. Second time he did that, he was talking to like Phil Ensemble. I interrupted him and he fucking got me in Ozfest. How humble is that dude, man?
Dude, I had a great time with him on the Biohazard run, and we had like a couple real long heart to hearts, like long talks about life. And
That's sick.
dude, he's a very down to earth guy. Like I think people have an idea about him, and when you get the opportunity to sit down and bullshit with him, he'll take you on.
I would love to like have because I don't want to take a lot of people's time. I don't want to be like like drowning them. But I would love. There's two people that I would like to have a 3 minute conversation with, and one of them is Evan to remind him of that time. Like, dude, Ozfest, you were talking to Phil. You turned around. You gave me time. You weren't rude, and you said, "Here you go, 2 tickets, get in." And then the other time was at the Palladium when they were shooting the Shades of Grey video, and then one time, Studio One, Sick of It All plays Studio One, New Jersey Bloodline, in a bunch of local bands. I'm very young. I'm starting to get my feet wet in the pit. I go in the pit a little bit, and some big bully starts punching me in the back of the head and beating me up. I stop dancing, I get my shit together, I didn't cry, but I probably kind of maybe wanted to. I was young. I was a little kid, man.
Yeah.
And the dude was a lot older. Here runs down from the stage Toby from H2O because he was Alleyway Crew. Have you heard of band H2O?
Of course.
And he's like, "Hey man, who hit you?" I was like, I didn't want to tell him because I was like, he's like, "Who hit you? That fucking guy hit you?" And he fucking went up to him and fucking punched that guy in the face and made him apologize. How cool is and like
It's so cool, man.
so for me, like a lot of the DMS guys or what I don't really know what gang I don't mean to bring up names. I don't know exactly what gangs they belong to, but a lot of those guys that were part of the DMS crew were always nice. They were never bullies, They were uh kind of just like they didn't have to they didn't have to prove anything by beating up little kids. And like this guy just fucked me up, man. And like just Toby jumped off the stage and was like, I've been wanting to like two things. I've been wanting to meet that guy in town one day because it was a special little moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. Look, those kind of things they'll stay with you forever.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
had that for you, but there's this like a certain level of honor that he taught you in that moment, right? And that he showed you in that moment, and that love that he showed for you. That I think is what
He might
hardcore.
not even remember who I am because he was on tour. He probably sees kids every night.
It doesn't matter though, because the fact that he took that time out to do that for you, that's what hardcore is about, right?
Hell yeah, man! Like,
And that's the community about hardcore that I love. That's what I really, really love about it.
I think for a while because I'm not going to get into the politics because I don't care. I didn't see him and it wasn't part of my thing. I think for a while things got like into like a real violent time. I was out of it. I've heard of things and stuff like that and beat downs and there's always been beat downs, man.
Yeah.
People always got beat down at hardcore shows, but I think now the kids they're very open-minded, man. It was I don't have a problem with it. Dripping has like a ton of transvestite fans. We played Tampa, like 3 of them came out. We played Brooklyn, another one came out. This dude's just kind of the girl, kind of hanging out with us and having a good time. And it's just good to see the diversity that everybody could do it. Because for a while, it was for me when I was younger coming up, it was a scary thing. And I don't know if it was for you, like seeing wild pits and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the hardcore's always kind of had like a very, very extreme element to it. And I think New Jersey has definitely displayed a certain level of violence.
The hardest.
Right. And like, as you go around the country, you see other scenes or whatever. And nowadays it's nowadays it's very open. Like I think that's one of the cooler parts about it, to be honest. Like I think for trans people, for gay people,
Yeah.
for people of color, I mean, like these are things that like when I was young were obviously not as widely acceptable, but I never really understood why, because to me, I came in with Reek, who was so politically driven and so wide open in his politics, like in his ideas, so free to share an idea.
Good
So it
voice.
was
He would
like,
not keep his mouth shut. Yes.
no, you know what I mean? And so like, but that's how I kind of was introduced to, like, that was how I always interpreted hardcore, was that it was a place where you could do that. You could kind of be a weirdo and like
Yeah.
it didn't really matter. Like, you know what I mean? I always considered myself to be a fucking weirdo. Like I always consider myself to be a black sheep. Like you know, like I didn't fit in any place else. But when I went to hardcore, I was good. You know, like I fit in there. Like I didn't have to try to be some, like, you know what I mean? I have to try to be a different way. I could just be myself. And I think that that's what's really cool about it. But to your point, in terms of violence, New Jersey, New York, I feel like have a reputation for it. Um, I think California has a lot of violent pits and shit like that too. But I do think now kids are very open minded. Kids are very, I don't, accepting of whatever, and like it's cool because I feel like it's making it grow. You know what I mean? Like it can't grow unless you allow people to be
Why do you
part
want
of
to beat up your, why do you want to, that little kid that may be wearing a shirt that's not quote unquote cool in the hardcore band, and maybe he's stepping in the pit and doing some steps where maybe he looks a little funny. That kid was me, dude,
100%.
at one point. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know everything.
They asked me if I knew how to dance, and I was like, these motherfuckers must be tripping.
Yeah. So I felt like there was a time in New Jersey that was extremely violent, man. It was really bad. And I'm sure you kind of witnessed it.
Yeah, I came up in
There
it.
was, there was some local gangs, and I was fortunate to be fucking friends with all the gangs. Not that I was part of any of them. And I was always fortunate to be friends with them. And if I ever had a problem, they had my back. But there was a time that I seen a lot of bloody things go down, and I think now these kids have a different narrative. Like they're more open to just being supportive, and trying to support everybody, and it opened up to like a wider spectrum, so
I
to speak.
think too, it's like hardcore is sort of at a similar moment to where it was in the 90s, where there's enough fucked up shit going on politically, sociopolitically, whatever, that like
Agreed.
need something where we can come together, bro.
Yeah,
Like
we have the real enemy out there. Agreed.
that's exactly how
Yeah,
it feels. You know, that's how it feels. I feel like there's a certain level of unity that occurs in a hardcore show now, because it's like we do kind of have a common enemy. You know, like, and it was very much like that in the 90s. It was very much like there was a common enemy. Like there was, like we live in a world where you're rich or you're poor. There's no in between anymore, and class warfare is massive. And like it's it's a it gets to the point where there's a certain level of escapism that I think hardcore provides for people, that I think is beautiful, because we really need to have shit like that. Because at this point in time, bro, I mean, if you want to get mad or you want to get upset, bro, it's not hard to do. Just turn the TV on, bro, and look at what's going on in the world. Like if you want to
well,
get angry, it's easy to do.
Jacob's like, not again, because we just dove into politics at the last podcast, right, Jacob? No, dude, and coming up and getting caught up, and you know, when sort of started getting my feet wet, and I was kind of a wannabe, and there was a time that, like, I would be like, what's that fucking dude a Nazi? Is he wearing like a rebel flag or something? Is he wearing a Leonard Skinner shirt? And like me and Asmel, Ashmel from Elizabeth. Yeah, so we would just fucking go up and, like, kind of like intimidate and attack people. But today I'm just kind of like, hey, listen, I am not here to tell you what to believe in. And if you don't bother me and you're not being insulting, I am not anybody who's going to come up to you and fight with you or argue over what political party you believe in. Like I don't have the time for that shit. You know what I mean?
But at the time, though, and I experienced this as a young kid. At the time, Nazis kind of were prevalent, and they weren't there to do anything other than antagonize. I mean,
I went 5 rounds with a Nazi at the pipeline. Shaggy, Seth was there, and this dude, me and him were just like it was just like nonstop. And like finally, he was just like we just didn't have any more energy to fight. So they would show up every once in a while.
it would, yeah. And you know what? The thing I experienced it at the Cove, and
Oh, yeah.
I was never really, to be honest, I was so young when I experienced it that I was unaware what it even was. I didn't understand what a racist Nazi was. I hadn't hit that chapter in my history book yet. You understand?
Right.
So like I didn't even understand what it was. All I knew was this dude kept running into me and my friends like a bowling ball and trying to fuck me up. So I learned quickly that, sometimes you got to put the boots to a motherfucker to get him to stop acting like that towards you. And then I was told later on, oh, this dude is like this dude's a Nazi. And I'm learning this shit on the job. I'm 13. Like I'm learning on the
Yeah.
job. I'm like, this is what this is, so it's like at a time, bro, it really was like that here. It really was like that. And
I do a
to
little
a certain degree,
sprinkles.
it was necessary to eliminate that sort of thing in order to have the hardcore community be what it was. And, there was a lot of guys that, especially in our scene, as you know, I mean, it's not like everybody here is white. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was just like, I think it was a necessary thing, like for those guys to be removed. And I think that the reason that a lot of these, crews kind of were established were for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean they definitely got run out, those guys. But like for now, it like for instance, like now it what I was trying to probably say, like I would hear a rumor that like a guy expect this happens in death metal. It really doesn't happen in hardcore. Like, oh, this guy's like a Nazi or whatever, like through Instagram, and I'm just like, I don't want to quote. I don't quote on any arguments. I stay away from all arguments. I stay away from all gangs. I stay away from like any drama.
This way to live life, and this is something that I've just been doing my whole life pre-internet, right? Because we existed before the internet, right? Like I just like if somebody is a certain way to you in person or whatever, right? Then like I just go off of that. Like if you're not gonna post like some crazy outlandish thing, like I don't know what you are or who you are, and I can't have somebody else tell me. I have to see the shit for myself, really. Like, right? I mean, that's for everybody. That goes for everything. So it's like for me, like I don't get involved in any of that bullshit. I don't get involved in
Yeah.
any and like politics, whatever. I have my own opinions, you know what I mean? But like I grew up in a household, my grandfather was a Republican, my grandmother was as liberal as they come. She was a Democrat, you know
Oh,
what I mean?
wow. That must
And
have been something.
they never talked about who they voted for,
Yeah, that's
you
great.
know, and that's how I came up. So for me, like I have my ideas, I have my I think I float pretty close to the center, especially nowadays. I can't agree with there's a lot of extremism, you know what I mean? Let's just put it like that. But like for me, I just like that's kind of always been my lifestyle. Like my grandfather was one way, my grandmother was another, and like I watched those two people coexist and I feel like it's possible. Like they lived together for 30 years, bro. How did they do it? You know what I mean?
No, no, you're absolutely right. And I my wife is an extreme liberal, and I try to teach her. Sometimes I'm like, you cannot make a judgment of a person because maybe he's likes the political party that you don't like because he might just be a good person. So she's kind of learning it because she's kind of hurt by like everything that's going on in the world. But going back to like what goes on, like a lot of the scene is kind of on the internet and maybe so much more with death metal, but there's like this whole cancellation nation and they want to just like grab like one small word you say, and it's like there are some people that are like just waiting every day for you to say the wrong thing to put you on blast, which is kind of weird because it's like, do you have anything else to do with your life? And because you said something, it doesn't mean that next year you're going to believe in it. You could be wrong. You could change your mind. You could. And I'm not saying I've said something and that I want to be forgiven about, but just out of anybody, like you could be like, hey, I fucked up, and I called this person a fucking that, and it was a moment of anger. I don't know, just it just happened, and it's like it doesn't mean that I had, but like the way things are done now, there's like a crucifixion. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like this guy's done. He's banned. He can't come around. It's
I
just
think I
I think
think
it
this,
happens a lot in death metal, maybe more than hardcore. And because I don't know, I'm not involved so deep in the hardcore scene.
yeah, I understand. I I think just like, we have a prison system, and the expectation of the prison system is if you fuck up, you go to jail, you learn your lesson, you come out, you're a better person, right? I think that there's the opportunity for anybody to make those changes in their life if they're not, you know what I mean, if they're not doing the right things or whatever. Like I know for me personally, I can only speak for myself, but like, you know, I spent a lot of my life as a drug addict. You know what I mean? I didn't make great decisions for my family. I didn't make, but and it's not even an expectation, but it's just like all I can do is do better every day.
Well,
Right. So
you're
like,
not you're not that guy anymore. You are who you are today.
right. And all I can do
If
is
you would have quit yesterday and today's your first day clean,
right.
you're not that guy
And
anymore.
I say that on stage all the time. I say, bro, this goes out to people that struggle with addiction. It goes out to people that have lost somebody from addiction. But it also, like, if you're sober for the next 5 minutes, it goes out to you. If you've been sober for 14 minutes and you're thinking about doing it still tomorrow, it goes out to you too. Like, it's, you know, I think the beauty of life is lessons learned, and I've always learned from error. So that's just who I am as a person. You fuck up, you learn the lesson, you move on from it. And I think we need to give each other some grace. And I think we need to allow each other the space to fuck up and then be able to have the conversation and say, "Yo, hey, this ain't it." You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, for
And I,
sure.
I think that's you know I think that's the way to get the country, maybe. Like, I'm not to get too political, but I think that's the way to get the country back to where maybe we could start to have some agreements and everything doesn't have to be "fuck you, I hate you." You know what I mean? It feels very much like two football teams
But
competing,
I was just gonna say that it's
and it just doesn't need to be like that, bro. It doesn't need to be like that. Everybody's not going to agree with every idea that you have, and I understand that. I'm not living in a false reality, but at the end of the day, I think we can find some common occurrences in each other's lives. I think it's possible. I think it's possible. We all need to eat. We all need shelter. We all hope to be happy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think we can find some things that we agree on.
do you think it's gonna get better? I believe so. It can't stay this crappy forever.
I'm one of those people who is big into history. It's what I always liked when I was in school. And I think that everything is cyclical. And I think if you look at history as a whole, there's been horrible times, there's been great times, there's been in between times. You know what I mean? And I think that these are cycles that humans go through. And I think, you know, I do think things will get better only because they always kind of have, right? Like
Yeah.
whenever people say like this is the shittiest time on paper or whatever, things always get better. So it's like, I personally, I don't know. Like, I have to be alive for the next probably, um, I'm hoping for the next 50 years, right? So like, if I have to be alive, I would prefer to have hope. you know? So yes,
Right.
I'm hopeful things could be better. You know what I'm saying? I'm hopeful things could get better for sure. And I think that they will. I think that they will.
I think so too, man. Nothing good lasts forever, and nothing bad lasts forever. Things cycle through, so
Yep.
I think things could get better. But I heard Paul from Cynic, the guitar player from Cynic, one time. He said, every day you have a chance to reinvent yourself.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what you did. You could have shot up heroin yesterday, but today you can wake up and say, I don't want to do that, and I want to be this person today. And you have the opportunity to be whoever the fuck you want. And I think that we as humans were taught to, the system taught us how to be workers, not find ourselves and keep us away from what's really inside of us. And like we're taught to be external, right? We're taught to be that, like, sneakers, cars, luxury, and material things is what's going to make us happy, but it's not. It's what's inside. So I think every day you could change something better. And if you fall off, pick yourself back up. You know what I mean?
And that's really it though. It's like, I feel like they say, like, you could live for yesterday, you could live for tomorrow, but the only thing that really matters is what you're doing right now. And it really is true because, like, it's like it's cliche, but it's like tomorrow is not a promised thing. So really the only thing that matters is what you're doing today, right? I
I
mean,
feel like we never reach tomorrow, right?
that's another part of it too. And like I say this kind of thing all the time. I don't know. I always say I'm not looking to hit the finish line, because the finish
Right.
line is death. So like
Yeah.
I'm looking for all the shit in between the start and the finish, man. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to soak up as much of it as humanly possible and enjoy the shit out of it.
I think that we were made into consumers, and
For sure.
they pump all these things in us, and we tend to forget that we don't live forever.
Yeah.
And then, we tend to forget that, like, the material things, and one day we're going to age and we're not going to look great. But what really is going to count is the great memories and what's inside our soul. And, I think, like, I try to be cool with everybody. I fuck up, dude. I'm not, listen, I make a ton of mistakes. Sometimes I can be a fucking dick. For the most part, when I wake up, I just try to do the right thing. Um, the older I got, I started prioritizing my passion other than work.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a smart move. I mean, I think whatever it is that you're passionate about is probably the key to your happiness. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like I've always been passionate about music. And in the time in my life that I didn't do music, because I, the same as you, I drifted away from hardcore for a while, didn't really play at all. Um, and I was never happy during that time. It's probably the most depressed of my life that I've ever experienced. Experienced a ton of death, experienced a lot of horrible things. And when I came back to the music, that was when I started to unlock my ability to, actually be happy. And, the last 2.5 years, really the last 3 years with Bayway, I've been I've been just trying to like live my life to the fullest, man. That's really it. I don't say I don't say no to projects. I just want to be involved in everything that I possibly can. I give everybody the time of day. I answer every message that I get. I just I want to, I don't want to long for that human connection. I want to be able to have it. I want to closely relate to people. I want to be able to hear people's stories, and if my story helps anybody, like that's tremendous to me,
Oh, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
tremendous to me. And that's why I do it, man. That's why I'm passionate about it. That's why I love it. It's because, you know, I get so much from it. I get so much from it. I've always gotten a lot from hardcore. I got my wife, I got my business, I got my best friends. I've always gotten everything from hardcore, and that's why I give back to it the way that I do. That's why I'm so passionate about it because it's given me so much.
That's very true. I mean, I've had albums that like they got me through certain parts of my life that were very hard, you know, and there's probably somebody, you know, listening to Bayway at their toughest time right now, you know, like dealing with some crazy shit, you know. It was yeah, man, absolutely. We can definitely with your art, you can definitely touch somebody for sure. And I'm sure you already did. And people tell you, man, you know, I'm sure people already tell you, like, dude, you fucking changed my life. And
It's one of the coolest experiences, I think, to just be able to have, you know, like for me, being vulnerable and being like outside with like the things that have bothered me and fucked me up in my life. If anybody can relate to it and it helps them, it's like, yo, some of this shit took me 38 years to get, not, I wouldn't even say to get a handle on it, but just to understand why it affected me the way that it did. So it's like if I can kickstart that for somebody that's like 15, 16 years old, like 18 years old, like so early in their life, if they
right.
have the like, bro, I feel like it's a cheat code. You know what I mean? Like to be able to have an understanding of why, you know, childhood trauma or whatever it is fucked you up. Like it could really enhance your life and it could really kind of skip some of the really shitty, dark times that a lot of us have.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And the greatest thing for me is like when I hit you up, you're like, boom, responded right back. And I'm like, oh, this fucking guy, because I, you know, I do see your climb up, but it's good that you still connected to everybody, man. Like that's honorable, man. Jacob, we're running out of time, brother.
Yeah, I gotta eat. My blood sugar getting low.
All right.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
Well, man, Jay, man, it was a pleasure, man. Any closing statements, anything Bayway's doing, anything you want to pump, promote, let us know.
Yeah, I mean Bayway is going to be on tour starting next week with Peeling Flesh, Missing Link, and
Yeah.
Cruelty out of Japan. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. We got a new record that's probably going to come out in, I'm hoping for June, July, um, and and some death metal influence on it that I think you'll fuck with.
Oh, dude, definitely want to hear it, man.
Yeah,
Fucking,
it's gonna be cool.
for sure, man. Definitely want to hear it, man. Thank you,
Oh,
and
getting together too with the dripping thing in when is that? It's October,
I
right?
think yeah, it's Halloween, Jacksonville. Yeah, we're gonna chill, man. We're gonna have a good time, man. You know, grab
Oh,
something, eat,
you
kick
know,
it. You know, it's gonna
absolutely.
be dope, man. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
It's some iconic bands, man. We're gonna have a blast, man. Dude, thank you for your time. Uh, much luck. You know, keep your success, dude. Much luck. You deserve it.
Thank you.
And I hope that it just fucking you just keep on climbing, man, and just fucking keep on rocking and doing what you do because you're doing it. You're doing it.
I promise you I won't stop. I promise you I won't
Fuck
stop.
yeah, man.
That's
That's
it.
what
I
we need,
appreciate
bro.
you. One Jersey guy.
Jersey, brother.
I appreciate you. I appreciate
Jersey,
you.
man. You have a great night, man. Thank you for your time, brother. And I'll
Thank
see
you.
you soon, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yep. See you in Chicago, by the way.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Yeah, I'll be in Chicago with I'm friends with No Cure, so I'll
Okay.
be up there early hanging out with them.
That's awesome.
Me and Blaze are kind of working on something. I'm hopefully because we try to set a date for the whole time. I'm gonna be hopping on stage with them, doing a song or two with them.
That's what's up, man. Good for you.
I grew up with the hardcore way.
That's incredible. And once you get your ass out here to Jersey, hit me up. All right.
All right, sounds good. I'm gonna bring the poster to the show, have you sign it.
Oh yeah. Please
I
do.
have so far 4 signatures on it. I'm trying to get every guest. It became a pain in the ass to do because like the big guys don't want to leave their bus.
Yeah.
Not throwing shade towards anybody, but I love Paul from Cannibal. I'm like this. Hey, I'm here. He's like this. I just got done with set. I'm tired. I'm like, man, you're telling me I gotta show up 5 hours early to get you when you're energized. So I appreciate your time. Sorry I was quiet. I like seeing Sub in his element. So
Yep. Absolutely. I get it. I totally get it.
keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.